Hi there, welcome to End-to-End Solution Architect session. Today, I'll be creating an Azure pipeline which will basically perform image building for Google Image and will push it to Google Cloud Image Repository. If you are following our HCP Packer series, then you must be knowing that we are following this architecture. So in this tutorial, I'll be creating a pipeline. That pipeline will trigger the Packer project, and that Packer project is basically the image building for GCP, Google Cloud, and it will connect to the Google Cloud. It will create the image and store under Google Images. So let's proceed. I am logged into my DevOps portal over here. In past session, you have seen that how I did sign up for Azure DevOps portal. Clicking on project. Meanwhile, let me show you that in our Git repository, we have the Packer projects over here. So I'll be using a private repository, HashiCorp Packer -pvt. And there is another repository which is public, HashiCorp Packer. So for your reference and the codes, you will find lot of Packer code for image building and pipeline also over here. So let me go back to the GCP portal here in Google Cloud portal. I am at Compute Engine. So we don't have any VM instance over here, but I will show you that when we start the pipeline, the process kicks off. It starts building the image for Google Cloud. There will be one VM instance created automatically. Okay, so let's go to this Azure DevOps over here, and I'll be creating a pipeline from the scratch. So clicked over the pipeline. Here, clicking on new pipeline, it is asking where is your code. So in our case, we have Git repository for that. So it is GitHub. Now I'm selecting the repository from here. So this is our repository, HashiCorp Packer PVT. I'm just selecting it. Okay, now it is asking that existing a pipeline or starter pipeline. As I have the pipeline already created, and it is in my repository, so I am selecting this existing Azure pipeline YML file, and it is looking under main branch and in path. Since it is GCP, so I am selecting the GCP pipeline over here. Okay, and clicking on continue. Now it is asking me to review the pipeline over here, and I am not going in detail how this pipeline is, because this pipeline is very simple. You create one task basically, which is the Packer build. Okay, and you provide the Packer script. So let me show you that in our Git repository, we have pipeline Azure. So if you go inside that, you will find a script directory. Inside script directory, here it is packer.sh. Okay, so this packer.sh is very generic. So here we are actually initializing Packer and then running the command for build. And we know that we need to pass the variable files by this -var -file equals values.pkrverse.hcl. Well, now let me go back over here, and we are also passing few environment variable, and this is very important. Let me emphasize on that. First is that project ID, because in our Packer project, we are passing this project ID, and project ID comes from our Google Cloud project. Okay, so let me open the Packer project basically. So here in our private repository, so let me go to that image builder. And so far we have the AWS, Azure, GCP, different projects. So I'm going inside GCP, and we will be using GCP PKR version 2. So here, if I go to GCP PKR HCL, you will find that this is the Google Compute, and we will be creating one Debian operating system. We will be using the Debian operating system version 9. And here we have to provide the project ID. Now, we are not providing this project ID hard coded somewhere in the values. Okay, so here, if I open the values over here, you will see that we are not providing this project ID over here. We are not hard coding it. So what we are doing, that we are passing this as an environment variable, and since it is Packer variable, that's why it is pkr underscore var underscore the project underscore id. This part is basically the same as the variable name as you have mapped in your Packer project. So if I take you there, see, this is a commented line, but if I take you in our gcp.picker.hcl, you will find that it is in small project underscore id, and the same way it is pkr var underscore project underscore id. Now, where this variable, this project underscore ID is basically defined. Okay, so let me take you over here that under pipeline, you have the library file. So I'm just opening this library under a new tab, and let me show you that how you can create group variables over here. Now you have the options for creating variable groups. I have few predefined groups over here for the AWS, Azure, GCP and HCP Packer projects. Now, since it is our GCP projects, so let me click on these GCP credentials. I have named it GCP credential. You can put any name over here. And you see that there are two variables created over here. One is project ID. I have mentioned it as a secret, so this is locked, and the Google application credential. I will come to Google application credential little later. Okay, but let me tell you that I have created a variable group over here, and inside that variable group, I have defined the variable. So how can you create a variable group? Simply under library, you click on the plus icon, so plus variable group. So it will give you an online form. Give a variable group name, suppose test group. You can add any description over here. Now it has the ability to link the secrets from an Azure Key Vault as variables. At this point, I am not linking any variable from Azure Key Vault, but I will show it later in this HCP Packer series. Okay. Now here is the section where you can add multiple variables under this variable groups, which is the test group. So it is basically, I'm clicking add, and suppose name one, it is val one. So it is like that. And now if it is a secret type, then you just lock it. So it will not be visible like that, and click on save. This is the way you create variable group under library. Now let me go back to library once more, that I have the variable group created for GCP, which will be required. Now under GCP, you see that how I defined the variable, basically the project ID, and this project ID is identical with the variable name which I am passing over here. So these two must be same. Now the same way, I have this Google application credential, which is nothing but the path of the credential file I am passing. I will come to this point that how I am passing this path, or what is this JSON file actually. But at this moment, understand that we have to set an environment variable to connect to Google from Azure DevOps to connect to Google Cloud. We need to set up an environment variable, which is Google application credential, and we need to pass the Google service account JSON, which has the key to connect to Google Cloud Platform. Well, so let me go back to the pipeline once again and tell you that this variable name, Google application credential, must be same as the variable name over here. So in our case, these two are mapped. Now, as we are using HCP Packer, where the metadata of the image will be stored, not actual the image, because we know that when we use HCP Packer stores the metadata of the image, but the image actually gets stored in particular cloud environment. In our case, it is Google Cloud Platform, which under images, it will store the newly created image. I will show you there. But we have to provide HCP client ID and HCP secret, which we have actually created from this HCP HashiCorp Cloud Platform in our past session, and we are just passing these two variables same way over here. So let me show you again over here that we have created another variable group for HCP Packer, and as you see that we have this variable group HCP Packer credential, and inside that you will find those two variables, which is HCP client ID and HCP client secret. Both are secret types, so I have locked it for the security. Okay. Now let me take you to the pipeline once again. So we now know that how we have mapped this environment variable, and these environment variables are required to run our Packer project through Azure DevOps pipeline, which will basically connect to Google Cloud Platform at first point. Then we'll start doing the image build, and it will store the image in Google Cloud Platform under images, and will store the metadata in HCP Packer registry. Well, so let me open HCP Packer registry also. It will be easier to understand. Here I am logging into HashiCorp Cloud Platform, clicking on the organization. So in our case, it is E2E Solution Architect. Clicking on projects, clicking on project. Now on the left side panel, clicking on Packer. So you see that we have this Packer registry already created, and it is showing the different image buckets based on the operating system. And as you will define the image bucket, and definitely it will show the platforms as well. In our case, it is showing the past images for Azure, GCP, and AWS. Okay, so we have our Packer registry already defined, and when we will build the image for Google Cloud Platform, it will basically create the new image metadata over here. And currently this version is V1. It is supposed to increase to V2. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so I'm back to the pipeline once again. Now I am not clicking on run at this point. So what I am doing, that's simply saving. The reason is we have created our variable groups, but we need to link our variable groups with the particular pipeline. By default, it doesn't get access to all the pipelines. Okay. So I'm going back to the pipeline, selecting the pipeline which I have already created, just created basically. So this is the one which I have created now. So let me give a name so I can find it quickly. So it is, in our case, GCP image, clicking on save. Now clicking on edit, basically editing the pipeline. So once I click on edit the pipeline, it will open the pipeline code. Now clicking on the three dots at the right side corner, and you will find the option for triggers. So clicking on triggers, here under triggers, we have the variables. So clicking on variables. So under variables, we have pipeline variables, we have variable groups. Now we need to attach or link the variable group. So here I'm clicking on link variable group and selecting the variable group we have created. We know that we have created this test GRP, that is the sample variable group, but we don't need it because it is for the demo purpose only. Now I need to select the GCP credential, this variable group. I'm linking over here. And what is the next one we have to add? That is for the HCP Packer credential. Okay, so that's why. So you can select multiple variable group over here. So that's the purpose to show this mapping. Now we are clicking on save. Click on save. Now this is how our pipeline, this particular pipeline, has been linked with the variable groups it requires. Okay. Now I'm going back to the pipelines once again. Under all pipeline, we will get, so GCP image builder, this is our pipeline. Now you must be wondering that we have provided the Google credential file. Then how we are providing this Google credential file, right? So let me take you there. So under library again, you have option to upload secure files. So what happens that you need to upload this Google authentication file to connect Google Cloud from your Azure DevOps. So how we can do that again, to upload any particular file, whether it is a PPK file or any certificate file, just click on secure file. So any kind of secure file you can do, it is just simply select your file or drag and drop your file from your local system. So in my case, suppose I'm just dragging this file and it has now ready for the upload. And once we click on OK, it will just upload. I'm not uploading because I have already uploaded this one. So if I click on this file or this record, basically, you will see that what has been uploaded over here. So you can see that we have this. You can add some property as well if you need it. So in our case, we have added GCP auth credential and value is this. Okay. But in our pipeline, this property is not required. You can just upload it. That's fine. Okay. Let me go back to the pipeline once more. Under all pipeline, I'm going to GCP image builder, clicking on edit pipeline just to show you the pipeline once more, that how the variables are mapped. Now let me scroll down and let me emphasize on this point again. This Google application credentials. So this is the environment variable which actually keeps the path of the authentication file, not any particular key or secret. It contains the path of the authentication file. Now, the secure file which we have uploaded, that is the file we have received from Google Cloud Platform. So where have we received that file? Let me take you to Google Cloud and search for IAM. Click on IAM. On the left hand side, go to service accounts. Under service accounts, you will find your list of service accounts created for your particular project you are using. Okay. So now if you click on create service account, so for a new service account, click over create service account, and just by simply adding the service account name, suppose temp ETVSA, so it has created the service account ID also automatically populated. Okay. Now click on create and continue. At this moment, I am not creating it, but it is as simple as clicking on create and continue. I'm just clicking over cancel. The reason is I will be showing you that how you can create the key. Okay. So I have a service account already created. So I'm going inside that for the Packer demo. And inside that service account, you will find the tab called keys. So go to the tab called keys, and under key, you will find the option to add keys over here. So as you see that it says create new key or upload existing key. So you will click on create new key. So once you click on create new key, it asks you the option for the key type. So you select JSON, which is the recommended, and just click on create. So it will download a JSON file having all the key secrets ID together, and you have to provide that particular path for that file. Okay, so once you are connecting your Google Cloud Platform from your local system or any on-prem system, you actually set that environment variable which will contain as value the path of that authentication file. Here I am not creating it because I have this key already created. That is the key I have securely uploaded under library, the secure file. And this is how I am passing the path over here. Now, how I get the path over here? So it is basically that I am running a task. What it does, that it takes the input as secure file. This is my secure file name. And what he does, that it takes the secure file path and set the secure file path over here, Google application credential. And I print it over here also, that whether it is set properly or not. And then I pass this Google application credential over here. Okay. So now this is the time we have our pipeline created. We have our environment variables set up. We know that how we did the mapping, and I'm clicking on run. So let's see how it goes. Clicking on run. It has started the job, queued it. This pipeline needs permission to access a resource before it runs. Continue. Click overview. Okay, secure. This is the permission asking for reading this secure file. Okay, permit. Started executing. Connected to the Git repository. Here is the command line, which is basically pulling the path of that secured file, and it has started building the Packer build. You see that the Packer build has started. As you see that one instance has been provisioned automatically. And let me go to the pipeline once again. So you see that, okay, these are few fetch which is being failed for the Debian. We do not need to worry about this at this moment. And it is deleting the instance. It is saying instance has been deleted, creating image. So it has built the image, and it is deleting the instance which it created and creating image. So it will be creating image under this image parts, under storage and images. So once this VM instance gets terminated, we can check over there. Okay, and meanwhile, let me refresh here and let's see what it is showing in HCP Packer portal. So I have refreshed the HCP Packer portal, and we see that this version is now V2. Okay, and it is just updated July 9th, today's date, and the Debian 9 Nginx GCP version over here. So if I click on this image ID, we see that this is the details for this particular image. Platform GCE published today, status is active, and newest iteration is V2 over here. And let's go back to our pipeline and what it is showing. The pipeline build successfully completed over here, and the pipeline also completed. All green over here. So let's go back to our pipeline and let's go to our VM instance. So let me refresh it over here. It is supposed to uh, get terminated automatically. So you see that it has vanished. So there is no VM instance. It will automatically terminate. And now where to see our image? So on this VM images, under storage, you go to images, and you see that we have one new images created, that is GCP Packer Debian, and this timestamp for the location US, and this is the creation time. And how do you actually identify that this is the image which is? So if you go to the pipeline log and go to Packer build this task, you will find at the end that what is the image ID. So image name, it is basically GCP Packer Debian, and this is the timestamp, and you can map it to this one. And here you find that under images, this is the image has been created over here. So this is how you can create a pipeline which will kick off the Packer project, and it will connect to Google Cloud Platform and will also connect to HCP Packer registry, and it will save the image data into HCP Packer and will save the actual image into Google Cloud Platform under storage and images. So I hope you have understood how you can create and execute this pipeline. If you have any query, please feel free to drop a note at contact us at e2esolutionarchitect.com. If you need any technical help or technical assistance, or you need any advice on the best practices from our subject matter experts, please let us know and keep on following our HCP Packer series. Thank you for your time. See you in our next session.